Today was the day that Deshaun Watson's criminal complaints were presented to a grand jury. And it dawned on me this morning, and I'm glad I wrote about this earlier today. It dawned on me that the fact that the prosecutor agreed to present it now, on the Friday before the start of the new league year, the opening of the window for Deshaun Watson to be officially traded, that told me there was a spirit of cooperation on the part of the prosecutor, which led me to believe that the prosecutor was not going to go into the grand jury room, guns blazing, trying to get an indictment. Because, listen, and I retweeted Shefty's tweet. This is why Deshaun Watson, from the beginning, welcomed the police investigation. He felt he knew that the truth would come out, and today a grand jury did not charge him on any of the criminal complaints. Look, he doesn't understand the legal system. If the prosecutor wanted Deshaun Watson to be indicted, he would have been indicted on felony charges, misdemeanor charges, whatever. If the prosecutor wants to do it, the prosecutor does it. Now, the prosecutor decided, presumably based upon an objective review of the evidence, that the prosecutor wasn't going to get a conviction. And that is one of the key factors that drives these decisions. The prosecutor may have thought, you know what, this guy crossed the line. But do I really want to devote time, resources, effort to a trial against a guy who's got the money to go out and buy the best lawyers he can, and I got to deal with Johnny Cochran-style skills and prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt? That's the problem. That's the challenge. So if the prosecutor wasn't in the mood to take on that case, the prosecutor goes in with a very different presentation of evidence than if the prosecutor was determined to get an indictment. And the reason that the light bulb flickered for me today, Myles, if the prosecutor really wanted to give Deshaun Watson a hard time, she just would have said, I operate on my own timetable. Oh, it's convenient to Deshaun to have this done before March 16th. I don't care. I don't care. In fact, the fact that you're trying to get me to do it before March 16th makes me less inclined to do it. But once I made that connection in my limited and impaired synapses, then I realized the prosecutor is not going to make an aggressive presentation. And clearly she didn't. Or if she did, the grand jury rejected it.
So where would the spirit of cooperation come from, and why would that happen? Is it just that the fact that she didn't believe the case was going to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt?
It's either she didn't believe it was going to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, or she didn't believe there was a violation of the law. She may have decided there wasn't a crime committed, or if there was, I'm not going to be able to prove it. Now, and so if you believe that, at some point you understand, okay, this guy's not going to be charged. Why do we want to unnecessarily throw a wrench into his ability to get on with his life? He has been in limbo through fault of his own. This guy isn't a victim. But the point is, for a year, these claims have been hanging over him. And the legal system has not finished with Deshaun Watson. That's the other problem in Shefty's tweet.
Yes.
O.J. Simpson was acquitted of murder in criminal court. He was found responsible for the deaths of 2 human beings by deliberate killing in civil court. Deshaun Watson could still be found to have violated the rights of up to 22 individuals. Just because he's not facing criminal charges does not mean he didn't do it. One of the first things I learned in law school, Myles, did you know I went to law school? One of the first things I learned in law school, criminal law, first year, 1988, September, was there is a fundamental difference between factual guilt and legal guilt. And you may have factually done it, but whether or not you legally did it is a different thing altogether. And it only becomes finalized when you plead guilty, are convicted, plead no contest, or otherwise enter into an agreement that pins responsibility on you. That's when you're legally guilty. You can be factually, I mean, we know O.J. Simpson did it. Come on. He's factually guilty of the murders of his ex-wife and Ronald Goldman. We know that. But he was never legally guilty. He was legally responsible in civil court, and to this day, he still owes millions to the families, but he was never legally guilty in criminal court. So look, I've been counseled by my wife to not jab at Shefty, but we know the game that he's playing. We know the grift. We know what he's trying to do here. We know. Look, I'm going to say it, Myles. I don't care. He wants to be the one. He wants to be the one who gets the news first that Deshaun Watson is going to be traded to wherever, so he can beat the announcement by 5 minutes and beat Ian Rappaport and everybody else at NFL Media and everybody at the Houston Chronicle and everybody everywhere else, and he can be first. as he rockets toward his free agency on June 1. That's why he did this, to curry favor with Deshaun Watson's camp. It is obvious, and I don't care if I'm the only one that'll say it. It's the truth. And I don't mean in comparison to you. I mean in comparison to the world. Because a lot of people tiptoe around it. It's bad form to say it. Well, it's bad form to do it. It's bad form to do it. Why is it bad form to call it out?
I think it's especially bad form when somebody has been accused of the things that Deshaun Watson is accused of doing, and there is still an ongoing civil court proceeding here to just say, oh, yes, well, he was confident the truth would come out. I don't think we know exactly what the truth is here, right? I mean, it goes back to exactly what you were just saying. There's a difference between factual guilt and legal guilt. And so we don't really know what exactly the facts are, especially because we're not privy to what the prosecutor was saying in this grand jury trial here today. So, I mean, this is not something that I feel like we should be declaring as sports media, whether or not the truth has come out or not, especially given the nature of what Deshaun Watson has been accused of doing. I found that tweet to be extremely inappropriate at best.
Well, and here's my next tweet. The truth came out, real-time tweeting. The truth came out on the same day that Deshaun Watson repeatedly invoked, finish it for me, Myles, repeatedly invoked his Fifth Amendment right to conceal the truth. Right? Is that fair?
Not to incriminate himself. I think it is actually pretty fair, Mike, yeah.
His fifth, I don't know how to spell Fifth Amendment right. We got to finish this now that we're this far along. You know, and that's a 5-letter word. That could be on Wordle one of these days.
Oh, it could be, you're right.
Against self-incrimination. Oh, boy, I hope autofill. You know, autofill helps me out with everything else. Here we go. Here's the lawyer for Deshaun Watson. The producer is wisely moving me past this. Here's the lawyer for Deshaun Watson explaining why the Fifth Amendment was indeed repeatedly invoked by Deshaun Watson earlier today at his deposition.
As I've said before, I don't know a single lawyer in the world that would let him answer questions while the very same subject matter is being considered by a grand jury. When the grand jury gets through, he'll be glad to answer any questions in these depositions they want. But I think people are not quite aware. He is a very smart, capable guy. And he's following the advice of his lawyers, but he's more than willing to tell his side of it.
And now, okay, that I got no problem with that.
Yeah, he's being a lawyer. He's being Deshaun Watson's counsel. Like that's exactly what counsel should be doing, right? Yeah.
Right.
That's what he's paid to do.
He's protecting him against saying something today that if the grand jury hadn't finished its work today, a transcript would have been printed out by Tony Buzbee. It would have been rushed over to the grand jury room, would have been given to the prosecutor when they picked up their work on Monday. And look at all this stuff that Deshaun Watson said, and maybe this changes your mind about Deshaun Watson. So until the criminal jeopardy has been resolved in a way where you are not going to face a trial, an indictment, any type of prosecution, you should invoke and protect your right against self-incrimination. That's why it's there. However, this is why Schefter never should have tweeted what he tweeted. You can't say the guy was confident the truth is always going to come out on the same day that he invoked the Fifth Amendment over and over and over again, because that inherently is counter to the truth coming out. It is a way to conceal the truth to protect yourself against being convicted of a crime, because our criminal justice system has been established to protect the rights of the guilty in order to ensure that the innocent are never wrongfully imprisoned. As we know, that the system doesn't actually work. A lot of people who are innocent are wrongfully imprisoned. But think how many more would be if we didn't have these protections baked into the Constitution. So, yeah, and look, I'm sorry that we've spent 5 minutes talking about this, but this is the price you pay when you post one of these transparent, obvious currying easy for him to say, favor currying tweets on the brink of Deshaun Watson being traded to someone else. Schefter now, because he did that, he's in the batter's box to get the scoop. And he's going to be even more deserving of the scoop, given all the crap he's going to take for the tweet that he posted. All the more reason for him to get the news first.
I mean, I guess so, but that's his prerogative.
But that's reality. That's reality.
No, it is reality.
That's the world. It's the world we live in.
And it is. But I don't know. I think that there are lines we maybe shouldn't cross, especially when we're talking about something like accusations of sexual assault. That's just the way I feel about it. And maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. But like I said, I found that tweet to be very inappropriate and, a little bit dismissive of what these potential victims, or these accusers, maybe I should say, against Deshaun Watson have potentially gone through. I think that's flippant, and I don't like that.
Yep. Look, that's the tweet that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Myles.
No,
I'm already in enough trouble. Go ahead. Join me.
I know. I'm trying to kind of get us maybe out of this. But this is one of the things that
you're not doing a very good job.
I know, but I'm good. Well, you're not going to let me. If you don't let me finish my sentence, then I'll definitely not do a very good job. But
let's talk about Baker Mayfield instead.
Oh, no. Well, then we'll just be here for the rest of the show. Now, one of the things that Rusty Hardin was saying today is that if there was no criminal indictment, then he was pretty confident that there are going to be a bunch of teams that are still very interested in trading for Deshaun Watson. So now that we've seen that there's no indictment, Mike, do you feel like we're sort of going to start hearing Deshaun Watson rumors really start to heat up? Because frankly, we've already kind of started to see that, especially on the case of the Carolina Panthers.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.